Hello everyone. Today we have with us a multi-talented personality who's very familiar to many of us. He is a theatre artist, a national award filmmaker, a social activist, and a journalist. It's with immense pleasure that I would like to invite Mr. Prakash Belawadi to this interview. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, we have heard that you have come to Mangalore very often for your shoots and also for your TV series. So, how has been your experience with Mangalore?
I've always loved the people here and the culture here because it's a place of great. Although the times belie what I'm saying, it's a place of great harmony and cultural mix because the Islamic culture here is unique. It's very different. The Urus in Ullal, for instance, is very unique. It's very different from any other kind of manifestation of the culture that we know in Karnataka. Then the Christian roots here, they are very unique, and the Kannada that is spoken here is shared by all. There is Tulu, there is Bihari, there is Konkani. So, and it's one of the most educated districts, the coastal belt here. Some of the most educated people in Karnataka live here, and it's also the education is widespread, because it's near universal, and literacy is there. So I'm very fond of this place, and actually I came here first, spent nearly a year here because I was working with a project for sustainable development here in 93, 94, I think. I'm not very sure. I think around that time. When, this place was chosen as a pilot sustainable development study because it has a very unique ecosystem of hills, forests. It's one of the biodiversity hotspots of the world. 22 west flowing, rivers, the sea. So it's a unique landmass, landscape, a unique culture. So I'm very fond of the place.
So, have you tried learning, say, Tulu, Konkani, or something like that?
I have no opportunity to learn Tulu. My daughter came and did a year's repertory at Ninasam, and she also studied for a year in Ninasam. She spent 2 years, so she's picked up a little bit of Tulu. But if not, had I lived here, of course I would have picked up a lot of Tulu. But I understand a few words. But this is a place of great inspiration for us. I tried to organize shows of Yakshagana Talamaddale in Bangalore from very famous artists here sometimes.
Okay, sir. Moving on. We have enjoyed many of your roles on the screen, say in many different industries, say Bollywood or Malayalam or Kannada. Talking about Bollywood, say in Airlift, say George Kutti, your role as George Kutti, or in Madras Cafe as Balakrishnan, or Talwar as Ramashankar Pillai. So, what do you think about the portrayal of South Indian characters in mainstream Bollywood cinemas?
See, this is a very sensitive question for me. One of the key things that we thought of when we were doing Airlift was that it should not become a caricature of a Malayali person. That was the most critical concern. The director himself is a Malayali, Rajakrishna Menon. So, we discussed a lot, and he told me that I should play it like a real person and not for comedy, and I agreed with that. And the person who helped me a lot was Lena Kumar, who played my wife, who's a very well-known, very accomplished actress in Malayalam cinema. And I took a lot of advice and help from her to shape the character so that it doesn't look like a caricature of a Malayali, but it's actually like a real person. So the key for me was that nobody should mind what accent I spoke in, because you have to speak in Hindi as a South Indian, you'll speak Hindi like that. I didn't care about. See, the earlier what used to happen in in Bollywood or Hindi cinema, those days, like made famous by Mahmood and Padasan, that you speak in a certain caricature of a South Indian. And to me, that somebody speaks in a different accent is comic, is a very archaic and not very intelligent idea. So that was the concern. I don't know why I'm asked to play a Malayali so many times. I have a feeling that's because Malayalam cinema inspires so many remakes, in Bollywood, that it leaps Malayalam cinema as a source, as material, leaps into the consciousness quickly. So when they bring a South Indian character, I think they tend to bring in a Malayali because the character is foremost, the culture is foremost in their consciousness.
But as a Malayali myself, we have enjoyed your characters, sir. Definitely, we have enjoyed
Thank
your
you.
characters. Even in, say, Malayalam industry, say, you have acted in Solo or, say, Take Off. We have definitely enjoyed, and we want to see you more
Thank
in
you.
Malayalam.
I requested Mahesh in Takeoff that I said, I will dub the Malayalam myself.
Okay.
So I came. They were very patient with me. They gave me a tutor, and I really practiced and spoke Malayalam.
That's great, sir. We feel proud of it.
Thank you.
So now coming to Kannada film industry now, there is a change in wave. That's what we feel, and we need an expert opinion on that. So, say you have done films like Kenda Sampige or say Daivittu Gamanisi. So all this are talk about a different kind of filmmaking, where it's not about the stars, but it's about the content that it matters. And we have also seen movies like, say, Uldavaru Kandante or, say, Rangitaranga or Vandu Motya Kathe, where it's not the stardom that matters, but the content that matters. So do you also think that there is a change in the wave?
No, there is a change, but the moot question is here whether we have a critical mass of films which will create this as a paradigm shift. If they come and go, it is not a paradigm shift; it's an exception. See, Vandu Motaya Kathe, for instance, excellent film. If that can become the norm of Kannada cinema, then we would have done the paradigm shift. But we'll still have big films. I'm not an actor. I'm a backstage person. I'm a director. I started as a lighting designer. My entire role is backstage, and that too from theatre. I've been teaching acting for a very long time because I've done theatre, amateur theatre. New actors come and you have to train them. I've also been taking acting classes for a long time. So one young person thought I can act, and he asked me to. I've acted before. I've done as a child artist in a couple of films. Girish Karnad actually gave me a reasonably, like a noticeable role in Kanuru Heggadati. But it was because a youngster, Arjun Chakradhar in Bombay, Shujit Sarkar's fourth assistant, I think was that time, who called me. I just did Madras Cafe, and suddenly I'm acting in a lot of films. And I must tell you, I haven't watched 18 of the films that I've acted in. Pity is, the bulk of them are in Kannada. Because there is something wrong with Kannada filmmaking. And while a new wave of films are coming, where a lot of good is happening, including all the titles you mentioned, there's also a host of really bad old style films. And Kannada is an industry that doesn't seem to understand its problem. When they take a Telugu film and remake it, the Telugu people would have spent, say, 80 crores to make that film. Kannada will try to do it with 15 crores. You're not matching them for looks, but you borrow everything. You borrow the culture, the story, the setting, the gestures, the mannerisms, everything from another culture. Only nominally the language will be Kannada. So in Kannada cinema, there is nothing Kannada, but but just the language Kannada sometimes. That is very sad, So I think we need a change. We need to stop with remakes. If you make a remake, it's because you love the subject and you make it in your own culture again. Now they try to imitate Malayalam cinema, but they do not have the finesse the commitment, the depth of the Malayalam cinema they are copying from. So I feel we are caught between two stools. Neither can you do a remake of the artistic film properly, nor can you make the remake of a commercial film properly. So unless you find answers in your own native genius, I don't think Kannada cinema is going to do much better than it's done now. This, what is coming now, needs to become a critical mass of films that will make a new cinematic expression possible in Kannada. Otherwise, it is best to let it die.
So, do you think if at all someone wants the Kannada audience to watch a particular set of movie because that highlights a particular issue, do you think maybe dubbing might help it instead of spending a lot on
See,
remake?
dubbing is a far more complex issue than the Kannada. Some of the voices of the Kannada, protesting voices of the Kannada industry, I understand. See, you must realize that when sound was introduced in cinema, sync sound was introduced into cinema in the 30s. There's a great film, no, that Dancing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly, I think, no? The dancer.
I don't remember.
Yeah. See, that movie makes a very telling point. What it does is, it exposes the older actress. She because the female actor, she cannot speak the language correctly. It brings a younger actor who can speak, new actor, who is not as glamorous, but who is a better actor into it because she can speak the language. So, for instance, Sync Sound will do that for Indian cinema. It's beginning to do. Yes. New roles are being written for women. They're no longer just bodies that will come and dance and go, but that they're going to speak. So you need to write intelligent stuff for them. That's what Sync Sound did. Similarly, when the sound first came, two countries demanded that dubbing should be made before the film is released. When they brought a Hollywood film, Mussolini's Italy and Hitler's Germany demanded that it should be dubbed in German and Italian, because they said that's the only way we can protect our language. So dubbing was introduced as an idea to protect the language first. Okay, it was a very important idea. These guys are trying to protect their market, actually, which is not as great an idea. The second thing I want to tell you is, when the unified Karnataka state happened in 1956, there was the aspiration to create a Kannada cinema that was made in Karnataka, to create a new Kannada cinema itself. Till then, a lot of shorts were being made, and hardly up to that point, hardly 40 feature films had been made in Kannada. So when they did this, actually many of our actors, including Dr. Rajkumar, requested the Tamil industry. At that time, all the South Indian industry was in Chennai, in Madras. Requested that Kannada should be allowed to grow. So those people did not dub into Kannada because they wanted to give a chance for the Kannada film industry to grow. And actually, the first South Indian film that was dubbed into another language was a Kannada film made into Tamil and Telugu. It was a Kannada film that was first dubbed. So it was a very friendly arrangement. To protect turf, to extend that beyond that point, is a denial not only of customer rights, which of course it is. People have the right to get what they want in their language. It is also a denial of content to Kannada audiences. See, Tamil children can watch the best channels in the world, the best films in the world, fiction and non-fiction, I'm saying, educational programs in their languages. Why are Kannada children denied that? Just to protect the Kannada film industry, so that these guys can make remakes from other languages and come and do it. I'm totally opposed to this misplaced, misguided, and often vicious and malicious opposition to dubbing. I support dubbing. I don't like dub films. That's my personal choice. I mean, I'm lucky to know some languages. I can follow the film. I can read subtitles. I don't mind. I prefer subtitles to dubbing. But if somebody wants dubbing, who are you to come in the way? I think you should allow dubbing for the good of both to save Kannada in Karnataka cinema and to save, to give access to Kannada speaking children to the best content in the world.
Thank you, sir. So now coming to CBFC, Central Board of Film Certification, do you think they are actually doing the correct job? As in, it is Central Board of Film Certification, but they have ventured into censoring many things which have altered the creative license of a filmmaker. And we have seen it in many movies now. Say, Urta Punjab was into this, or say recently Padmavat was into this. So, what is your opinion on this?
See, is there a board of certification for literature? For the print media, it's not there. Is it there for television? It's not there. Why are they giving this Damocles sword on our head? Why is it hanging there? Who wants this? It's a CBFC. It's a stupid organization. It's a stupid law, the British law, to create censorship. It should be done away with. I also oppose the tendency to blame a government for it. See, a government that believes in a certain thing will propagate that thing. A party that believes in a certain thing will propagate that thing. When a party comes into power, it does not become a government only that party. It becomes a government of even the people who voted against it, right? So you go by the constitution, you go by the laws of the land. Why do you need this censor board? Why do you need this arbitrary qualitative decision making by a bunch of good people or a bunch of jokers? As it turns out, we don't know. I would say shut down the censor board. Let the industry regulate its own content. Let not any board certify it. If there's not going to be a certification, let the film industry do it.
Okay. So, drawing on the same line, film is also a form of dissent. So, how do you make sure that this form of dissent doesn't actually instigate a communal violence or say communal disharmony or a communal tension? Because we could see in the case of say Padmavat, though it is fictional, it allegedly hurt the sentiments of a certain section. So over there, do you need a regulatory board to see what is the safe line between a dissent and hurting the sentiments?
No, I don't agree with that. I think it's not the responsibility of a filmmaker to control riots in the street. It's the responsibility of a filmmaker to make an honest film within the framework of the law. For instance, you cannot show child pornography in your film because it's against the law of the land. So, as long as it's within the legal framework and the film has been certified, you have a CBFC that certifies a film. When the film is released, if this rioting, it's for the police, it's for the state to control the rioters. It's not, you cannot punish the filmmaker for it. That is one. Second thing is, I am also against the selective outraging. I acted in a film called Madras Cafe. The film was not released in Tamil Nadu. They did not allow its release. Jodha Akbar was not released in Rajasthan. Where were all these people protesting that time? I don't agree. This selective outrage does more harm. There is a real problem for filmmakers because of censorship, selective censorship, partisan censorship, censorship because of political ideology. All that is a real problem for filmmakers. But when people who pose to be liberals, who are not actually liberals but partisan, come and only outrage sometimes but keep quiet other times, then it sends the wrong message. It seems that anybody can do it at any time. That is what is happening. I am saying shut down the censor board. If you want, make a legal framework for cinema and you ask people to comply according to that framework. And if there's rioting in the streets, see, let us say I fall in love with a girl, okay, and she's from another religion or another caste. Like in this district, for instance, there are riots on such questions, for instance. It is my right to marry her or her right to marry me. If they're rioting, it's the duty of the state to give me protection. But actually, the state is selective in its outrage. When that happens here, they say communal elements are creating this problem in Mangalore. But when a private organization calls Sunny Leone to perform for New Year's Eve, the state bans her. The Home Minister has the temerity to say, let her wear a sari and dance. What is this? It is the same state. This is selective outraging. This is the problem with liberal outrage in India. People have no respect for the liberal voice, for the liberal ideology of India, because they see it as a fake thing. And it's with good reason they say that.
Moving on, your film, the 2003 film Stumble, which also won the national award, it came at a time when there was this new economy coming up, or say the dot-com bust, and your film actually dealt with all this thing and the stock market scam. Today, with the inception of social media, which has also created a parallel world by itself, and also open the loopholes for, say, fake news, spreading of fake news. Do you think it's time again to highlight these issues, maybe by donning a hat of director again? Or what is your opinion? How do you voice
See,
this out?
when I did Stumble in 2002, I borrowed money from a lot of people. Many of my friends gave money. I haven't returned money to most of them. I didn't pay most of the actors. I didn't pay Suhasini. She gave so much time. She was so generous with it. The thing is, I felt really ashamed, because the film, we didn't know how to market it correctly. We were all first timers, and we lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of money for my friends. I sold my house, I sold my car. I never had the courage to make a film after that again. But now I feel, because people are asking, maybe I should come back to direction. But I'm making a slow step. This year, I'm writing 3 film scripts. That's the first step. I'll write and then I'll direct. Let's see, hopefully I'll do.
Okay, about fake news, this that has come up now.
See, there was always fake news.
Yes.
But it was the exclusive domain of All India Radio, which was government owned, and Doordarshan, which was government owned, and a few newspapers which were actually, like in most times, working with government. They carried the fake news. They all told lies all the time. Some truth also they said, but a lot of lies they said. See, when Mrs. Gandhi died, we had to tune into BBC to find out, for instance. Okay, that's how India was. What these established people, mainstream media people, are upset about is that others also can do fake news now without any investment. That is what is upsetting them. They also, mainstream media also does a lot of fake news. It's not just social media. So the thing is, let it be there. People tell lies in social conversation also. It's your responsibility to find out if it's true or not. So let many voices speak. See if the facts are coherent, they hang together, whether it makes any sense, and whether it's consistent, what they're saying. You make a decision. It's not like, the responsibility of somebody else to give you wisdom. There is a lot of information out there. Okay, some of it believable, some not. It's for you to make sense of it.
So, because of shortage of time, we'll have to wind it up. But on an ending note, as you told about how we have to tackle this fake news, we are the upcoming journalists of tomorrow. So, how do we make sure maybe a source is credible enough, or say, how do we tackle this whole issue and make ourselves clear, and so that we can disseminate correct news and reach out to the public with the actual news?
See, for democracy to work, free media is essential. Okay? It's free media in many ways that defines democracy. Okay? Now, people rely on media, okay, for information. Fortunately, now we have social media. Okay? Otherwise, earlier it was a big problem. People had to rely only on newspapers, on official media for information. Now, when you are a journalist, you are no longer a journalist it's another question of a big paper, small paper doesn't exist. Okay, you can do it in a college magazine, and somebody puts it out in social media, it gets multiplied. Okay, in that way, it's become a level playing field in many ways. So, what is the duty of a journalist? What is the responsibility of a journalist? I'll put it in just simple points. One is, you must do journalism because it is necessary. Okay, and you must have a passion for it. See, why should you become a journalist? I'll ask you, why should a person become a journalist? What's your answer?
Because it's our responsibility that we reach out to the public and let them know what's happening around them.
Yeah. So I would say, when they ask me the question, why do you want to be a journalist? I said, I want to change the world. That's the correct answer. Why do we need art? Because we want to change the world. Why should we change the world? Because there's always wrong in the world. And the good fight is dissent. You do not agree with wrong and you fight. That's why we need journalism. So a journalist has to be responsible for the good fight. He must be a dissenter. Okay? To praise stuff, you don't need to praise the government. They spend taxpayers' money and put out advertisements saying they're very good. Okay, but if you do, it's fine. But what you have to do is criticize the government when they're wrong. Criticize a private limited company if it's wrong. Criticize a film if it's putting out bad values. Criticize your sports team that represents the nation if they're fraudulent or they're self-centered. You criticize. That's the job of the journalist. You're not there to become everybody's favorite uncle. You're not Santa Claus. You are there to tell the truth as you see it. One. Second is, for you to be able to do it, because you'll hurt a lot of people when you write. For you to be able to do it, see, I'll tell you a story. A news channel put out this thing that the polio pulse injections that had been given to children was not going to work. So all night, women stood in front of clinics, nursing homes, hospitals, with their babies in their hands all night, with young infants, because it was wrong news. So the thing is, you'll hurt a lot of people when you put out news. You'll affect a lot of people. So it's your responsibility to find out as much as possible in that time, because journalism is a problem of time. You need to publish, in time. You must find out as much as possible in that time. And you should put out all the doubts you have of information in that story. Okay? You should not say, I lose, reaction and hide the truth. Okay? See, when you say, I once wrote a story, crime story, which is just one paragraph long. The news editor pushed it to the top of the page and put a headline across the crime beat, 3 columns, saying, Sikh driver runs over child. Actually, it was a lorry that ran over a kid and the kid died. The driver had been arrested. Incidentally, he was a Sikh. So you can say Sikh driver ran over child is the fact, but it's not the truth. It's not because he's a Sikh he ran over the child. You understand? Yes. So a journalist must find out everything that is true and presents the facts in a way that are truthful to the case, because the fact need not be the truth, remember. You present the facts in such a way it's closest to the truth, and whatever doubts a journalist has to be incorporated. That is the second one, responsibility. The third thing is, when you get new information that proves what you said is wrong, a journalist must have the courage to own up and say, in that time, that's what I knew. Now I know better, so this is what I'll say. Which is why you should be very careful with taking a side. Taking a side is a very big responsibility. Okay, how will you pull out of that problem? Okay, these are the 3 things that a journalist must have: preparation, first commitment to the cause of journalism itself; 2, adequate and intense preparation in presenting the story as truthfully as possible. Okay. 3, to have the courage to own up if you have made a mistake and correct your path.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for those wonderful words, and
Thanks.
we were very happy to have you because you took time off your busy schedule, and we know you venture into multiple activities. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with
All
us.
the best
Yes,
to
thank
all
you
of
so
you.
much, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
thank